like nice coat, white coke. How you live with that smoke? Hop in, jogging. I'm just kidding, I'm broke. Sit a lot, I've been waiting for the day I don't get my pay. Check will make me happy instead of me getting laid. Never done in the middle with a gun. Put a hole in his chest with a torso don't fall right. In the sun, run until the desert dawns. We don't have no fun till we chillin' at my graveside. I'll be wishing I'm dead. I'll be missing my friends. Get me out of my head. All the letters I send. I'll be wishing I'm dead. I'll be wishing I'm dead. I'll be missing my friends. Get me out of my head. All the letters I send. I'll be wishing I'm dead.
Hello. Oh, we are live. Let me pull up the window. Okay. Suppose I'm still waiting for anybody else. I see. How are you so fast here, Dex? Jesus. Oh my goodness. Figured finished some house projects and some other randomness before I play some Chivalry 2 after this. I got done what I wanted to get done today. So I think tomorrow I'm going to maybe I'll do some Robert Kiyosaki reaction video stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I have tomorrow off. So let's see. Out to go into work. Oh, okay. Yeah, I figure people, I don't know, this is the first Sunday without football, so it's kind of sad. Got everything else done today. I was finishing this book, so I'm done. I might do a book review of this one. I'm not sure. It's interesting. It's an interesting book. I don't agree with all his takes in it, but it's definitely not terrible. On the Lord's Day. Yeah, I know. No football. It's always weird. The first weekend of no football, like every guy is like, you do some house chores, read a bit, take the kids to the park, and then you get home and it's like 3:30. You're like, what am I supposed to do? So yeah, it gets better. We'll be all good. Yeah, now it's all about March Madness in the NBA. I have to say, like, I love the NBA playoffs are like my favorite playoffs, I think, for the most part, because it's like 2 months of playoff basketball, where during regular season it's like the NBA. It's like, yeah, they take nights off, and if teams are down by 10, they might just bag the game. But like when you get to playoffs, every game is like full intensity. So I love NBA playoffs. What up? What up? I don't think too many people are gonna. I think people come later. I get more people to watch. I think if you go like 11 o'clock, you get like the West Coast people. So, but yeah, maybe tomorrow, since I'm home, I'll do the Kiyosaki. I'm not sure, or something else. But I was gonna do a few thoughts. So, anyways, Western Conference is tight playoff runs. Yeah, there's like no clear cut team this year. I think to really say like they're the front runners to win the playoffs this year for the NBA. I don't see it. Denver's not doing as well, I think, as last year. So I mean, probably if I'd probably say Denver repeat, honestly, if I had to guess at this point. Or the Celtics are so tough to say this is their year. Like, how many years do we say the Celtics this is their year? And Porzingis has not proven himself in the playoffs ever. I think they might be missing Marcus Smart's defense when they get to real primetime basketball. But I don't know, they got Drew Hall. That was a steal of a trade to get that guy from Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee really kind of screwed up losing him. He feels like he was the heart and soul of that team, almost, the way they're playing. So anyways, I'm sure you want all the basketball talk. This, before I did the topics, I was just going to say this, like, watching this on Wall Street Bets. So for people, like, I've been on Wall Street Bets for years, before GameStop. So it's kind of part of that to some degree. So watching people lose their minds over this run, there's a lot of people that got, and this is just, you live by the sword and you die by the sword when you do these 0-day option $100,000 YOLO bets. You either are going to go from 100 grand to 800, or you're going to turn $500,000 into $5 real fast. So for people say, you can't learn anything, I think you can learn a lot of stuff from watching that. I think you can learn plenty of things. Like this is, and this is the temptations that you have to deal with. I didn't have to deal with 20 years ago. I mean, I have to deal with it right now. I mean, yeah, I could throw, imagine throwing $300,000 on, SMCI before it ripped. Now you got like $5 million. Yeah. But do you have, it's like anything. It's like gambling. It's like the odds are stacked against you with anything like this. That's why there's high risk or high reward, because you're risking it all. So some people are not equipped. I mean, so like here's this guy, great for him. $990 to 42,000. I mean, and this is what you have to see as a retail investor these days. You have to see this and say, well, shit, man, if he can do it, why can't I do it? Because this would be my lucky day. But then there's also, that's why I love about Wall Street Bets. They also post when it goes the other way. You get the people that post when it gets wrecked. There was one, I don't know if I found it. Was it this one? This wasn't the one. There was one where the guy lost a lot, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this guy, 40%, that's not the end of the world. There was one really bad one. But it is what it is. I mean, it's funny because who cares what the company does, right? I mean, I can go look at the company. What does it matter? These people are just betting on, this is just like pure, utter momentum trading, right? It starts going up, and then all the day traders start piling in, and then all the option trading covered call people start climbing in. And then the hedge funds are trying to freaking just take everyone's lunch money with their algorithms and their supercomputers, feasting on the retail investors. And a few people make money, but most people that do this stuff get wrecked. That's just the truth of it. But it is fun to watch. So I enjoyed that. All right, next. So main topics now, but this is hilarious. I mean, to say like I covered this literally. It's not even saying I told you so, but I told you so. I covered this in my Cybertruck launch video, like 2 months ago. I'm like, they're going to rust. These things are going to rust. It's not even a thing about Tesla. It's not against Tesla or Elon Musk. It has nothing to do with that. It's metallurgy, right? When I referenced the stainless steel issues, I didn't reference like anything related to Tesla. It was literally it was like a website devoted to metallurgy, and talked about things that can affect stainless steel. So here we are. People are now realizing these things are going to rust. Now you're saying, well, Dan, you're a clown because the car, I understand what happened with like these articles. So it's not rust per se on the Cybertruck at this point. What these people are noticing is like iron particles, let's call them, in the air, get on the Cybertruck. Rain causes a chain reaction, which causes like these little rust spots on your vehicle. And then, you just buff them off because it's only surface level. I mean, that's how rust starts, surface level. So, but the point isn't lost that, these things are going to get rust. And where's this one? I had pictures, which was hilarious. I don't know where they went. So what you're going to have to do if you're a Cybertruck owner, and also, mind you, what's going to cause it to get even worse, like in LA, I think in LA and San Francisco, they're noting this because if you're in a valley, so all rain is acidic. It's just a question of to what degree. Like we had really nasty acid rain issues in New York because the jet stream came from the Midwest where the factories were, which then caused really nasty acidic rain that was depopulating a lot of lakes. They've mitigated it to some degree, but so depending on where you live, the acidity of the rain can be worse, and pollution also plays a part in this. If you're living somewhere like LA, I mean, it's probably going to get worse for you than someone that lives in like Montana. Wouldn't have to deal. It wouldn't be such a bad situation for rust. But these all are going to rust. So you're going to have to clean these all the time. So you're going to have to use specialty products because you can't go to a car wash because you have to avoid high heat and you have to avoid harsh the chemicals that the car washes use. You can't really use those. You're going to have to like hand wash these goddamn things almost every day. So if you own a Cybertruck, you're going to have these special hand cleaners for this type of material. And you're going to basically have to like hand wash these Cybertrucks weekly, not monthly, weekly. You got to keep them clean and you got to keep everything off them to keep the metal in order. So it's going to be such a pain for these people. I can't even imagine dealing with this. Like I go wash my car like every 2 months just to get the salt off it. So that's it. Every 2 months I go wash my damn car. Who cares? But you're going to have to do more than that with a Cybertruck. So I'm sure these people did not know this was going to be a reality. But yeah, they're going to rust and patina or whatever you want to call it. And that shiny exterior is not going to stay shiny very long. So I enjoy that. Maybe this is a surprise to people because I saw these articles start popping up like last week, and then YouTubers started commenting. It's like, yeah, was this a surprise to people? Like this is what's going to happen to these things. You're going to get spot rust all the time. Depending on where you live, it could be worse. So, but Cybertruck in the future, bro. The other problem that people notice, which I didn't really cover this, some people have noticed that. So they didn't round the edges, and like in the front, as the front trunk, it's a trunk, right? I don't know what you call it, the trunk in the front of the car. When it goes down on the Cybertruck, since they didn't round the edges of the metal, like some dude had a carrot and he had the thing come down, and you would assume there would be some sort of pressure sensor where if it felt pressure, it would go back up like a hand. No, it crushed the damn carrot. Like your fingers are going to get jacked up if you have your fingers and you forget it and that thing comes down. So that's going to be bad. So nice sharp edged stainless steel. That's going to hurt somebody. Like this car is like what a travesty to safety standards in America, this thing. And another thing that commenters have noticed, I didn't really harp on this because nobody really driven them. The A-pillars are ginormous because of such a giant piece of glass in the front of the car. So the A-pillars are extra thick. So the blind spots are like atrocious on these things. And the front windshield is so big, it creates blind spots and weird viewing perspectives for the drivers that you're not used to. So it's very awkward to drive, I've seen people say. So, cool. So anyways, that's about that. I enjoy they're going to rust. Sorry, they're going to rust beyond all the other things I've said about Cybertrucks. Enjoy hand washing your $100,000 car. I'm sure that's what you want to do with your time. You know, if you're someone that has the privilege of being able to afford a $100,000 car, I'm sure you would love nothing better than to hand wash your car on a weekly basis, because that's all you apparently have time for, you know. So enjoy that. So just trust Tesla. I've never ending enjoyment of Tesla. To risk everything on a car company. And I've seen a few Wall Street Bets posts that people have started to catch on to what I've said. Toyota has been a better return. Toyota's performed better than Tesla since Tesla became a S&P 500 company. That's when I draw the line. That's when, because this is the Tesla we're dealing with today, a S&P 500 company, right? So, you know, you're never getting back the times before it joined the S&P 500. All right. That was a nearly bankrupt startup that made it through all the obstacles and all the hurdles. They made it. And if you had been in that company, you were rewarded richly. But that's not the company we're talking about today. We're talking about a large automotive company that's in the S&P 500. So looking at anything before it joined the S&P 500, kind of pointless at this point. You have to deal with what it is. So I'll cover Crocs. Where do I begin? I think I've already talked about Crocs, but I want to make this clear because I didn't want to feel like I'm just pretending that everything wins that I pick. Because I feel like sometimes we're so apt to just highlight the things that go successfully. We don't talk about things that originally didn't go well. And, you know, maybe because I talked about Cigna. Cigna went really well. And then actually I sold out when the news of Humana came out. And if I'd held on, maybe it would have been better. It would have been better. But I didn't want to hold on to a company that would dig their heels in and buy and do a merger, because they could have very well just said, forget the press and the scrutiny. We're still going to do the merger. We don't care. Then out of the blue, they decide they're going to cancel it, do huge share buybacks, which is so hilarious because that's what I wanted. My story on Cigna was the share buyback story um, for them, because I'm like, they don't have great growth perspective or prospects. So I'm like, just give shareholders their money back. And now it ran like a freight train. But sorry. So Crocs, when I originally bought it, I bought it in the summer. It was June. I remember the dates because I went on vacation like right after. So I bought it in June, like around here. So I actually thought Hey Dudes was going to be a success. I'm not going to pretend I didn't. I thought Hey Dudes was going to be a success for them. Beyond, like, I'm not talking about the price they paid, but I thought the sales would do well. I looked at the social art, like the metrics as far as search traffic on it. I went to some stores to look at the prominence of the displays. So I'm not going to say I didn't see, I did not see this coming. So when it ran up, I was very excited because I got in like 107, runs up to 130. So I was doing really well. And I'm like, oh, well, this is going great. I love it. And then, that one earnings where reality set in, that was the first time that I think investors had a real sense of, okay, Hey Dudes is not turning out as this great growth investment. So I rode it all the way from 120 or 130 all the way down to like, shit, what did it get down to? 70? Yeah. But I stuck with it because in the end, I still thought it was severely undervalued. Even when the narrative on Hey Dudes went down, you're still talking about single P digit company. I mean, a lot of the aspects of Crocs itself, none of that deteriorated. I felt there was people talking about they're going to start expanding their sales in other countries that they haven't been before. And then just the valuation matters. So I'm like, you know what, this is a speculative investment. If I have to take 2 or 3 years to get where I want with it, so be it. So I held on to it. I didn't, I added a little more. I wouldn't say I bought a second tranche. I added a little more as it went down. It wasn't my main effort, but I'm like, I got 2 or 3 years. That's fine. Kind of put it on the back burner. So the point is, not everything works out the exact timing. So like now here we are today, I'm up. So I'm at like 104 or 5, I think, cost basis. And, so it's pretty tidy profit at this point. So it's worked out. But things don't always work out on your timeline. You have to be able to reassess what you want to do and pivot. Like Disney has worked out amazingly. I almost bought it at the bottom. So it went down to 78, but I got 81. But point is, like, they don't all work out like that. So this one didn't work out that way. But overall, I mean, to me, like, if things go the way I think they're with Crocs, I don't see why this isn't like a $200 stock. Obviously, things can go not the way I think they're going to go with it, but I think the risk reward is appropriate for it. So I'm not going to make it like there was some growth investor on YouTube that has like 57% of his portfolio is Crocs. Like that's psychotic to bet that much money on an ugly shoe company that could be out of trend and you wouldn't even see it coming. But so we'll see. But here's the point though. Say you just copied somebody. Okay. No, let's say you just copied somebody that bought Crocs. Your favorite YouTuber let's say I did a Crocs video. Okay. Let's say I did a Crocs video, 40 minutes, gave you everything why I thought Crocs was going to be successful when I bought it in June. And then it runs up. You think I'm a genius. And then it just craters and you're just losing money and you're red every day. But you never did the research. You don't really understand why I bought it. You don't have like, what is your risk tolerance? I have a pension. This Crocs trade isn't going to really do much. This isn't going to affect me retiring. So I'm willing to hold out on it, and I have other portfolios. So given that, my risk tolerance, my research that I did before I bought it, if you did none of that, you probably would have sold it. So because you're just copying somebody, you don't know why you bought it. You bought it because I liked it or someone else. So you wouldn't have held it. Let's be real. Like as soon as this dropped from 130 down to like here, like 100, and then it kept cratering for 2 months straight, you would have bailed on it. because you wouldn't even have valuations. You would have just said, "Ooh, let's go," and then now you miss out on it. And now what do you might buy it now when it goes up because you're FOMOing into it because now you're going to regret the losses and want to make up for those losses that you took. So now you try and just now you have a mistake compiling on a mistake, and now you're your typical retail person. Now you've just lost it all. You could just let it go. In those cases, like Cigna, I just let it go. Was it a mistake to sell it? Yes. So, but I didn't know what was going to happen. But there's no reason to compound and say, well, buy into it now because the share story's on. It's a different story now that it's at like over 320. The narrative, it's a different conversation as compared to when I bought Cigna 250 was a much different conversation than what it is now. So you'd have to believe there'd be extensive buybacks and probably 3 to 5% growth every year. No new regulation changes to justify the price of Cigna now would be pretty wild, I think. But so otherwise than that, this isn't some company Crocs that's going to like blow you. Again, it's like a lot of companies that I look at. Can you get double digit, maybe 10% growth, maybe, but a lot of their growth metrics that is like 5-6% growth projections. Like that's what you're getting with companies like this. The story is not. So you can't look at it like a software company that's like 20-30% growth every year. Of course, they're diluting the hell out of you at the same time as their rapid growth. That's a different conversation. But there's lots of companies in America where it's like, you get 5, 6, 7% growth. They're increasing margins at the same time as that solid growth. Not crazy, but good growth. Margins are improving. Do some share buyback. And then maybe they have a dividend rate, aggressive dividend raises, but it's like a low yield. I mean, these are good companies. Like I like. Is it going to super microcomputer like 800% gain in a month or two? No, but I don't think it would. But let's see. It's baffling allocation you mentioned for that. Yeah, I know. I found one because I was searching growth YouTubers, and he's done. If he, depending on when he bought it, he could. Who knows? I don't know when he bought it. Could have been terrible or really well if you bought it like 70 in October. But a lot of stuff, if you bought in October, you did really well. It's kind of nothing lives in a vacuum. Okay, yeah, if you bought Crocs at 70 in October, you did well. Well, you could have also just had QQQ, or you could have had something else that just freaking vertical line since then. I would say Dan or Crocs before I did. I said I mean, I know a lot of people were before me, but I did not. I thought, hey, I'm as shocked as freaking, I guess, management in the call said they were like I said it. Management was a little weird in the call because one of the transcript lines they said like they expected Hey Dudes to perform better. And then another person said that they feel like they maybe made a mistake buying Hey Dudes at the time they did because they didn't have the infrastructure in place to support it. So it's kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth. So, are you disappointed in the sales, or are you disappointed that you bought it too early and that's your mistake? But they can turn around. Their plan is to turn around, get the logistics in place for Hey Dudes, and they think it's going to be net profitable by the end of this year. I guess the growth, it's not going to keep deteriorating is what they're saying, but so be it. So cool little speculate. This is a good speculation to me. Like if you're going to speculate with a small amount of your portfolio, this is as a risk adjusted possible return. It's there. And if they push into like the gibbets business more, meaning they have products that support gibbets, to me, it's like any product they release should have the ability to have gibbets put on it, because they're double digit growth on gibbets, like quarter after quarter, just crazy. And what are they selling these things for $2? They probably cost like a penny to make these little plastic things. That's why I'm just like, more shoes, bags, anything that has those little holes that they can put gibbets on to accessorize. I don't know why they're not doing bags. I still do not know why they're not doing the Croc bags, because there's other companies doing it. I didn't see that they're licensing. So Bog Bags is one that does bags, but I couldn't find in their 10K if they were licensing like the technology or something to them to do this. I was kind of curious. So it could be. I haven't looked too far. But other than that, Hey Dudes though does allow them to do more licensing and more promotional type products. Like how much could you do with Crocs, right? Crocs themselves are just an ugly sandal or shoe. Like so I think it's kind of limited what kind of promotional stuff you could do with that product. But Hey Dudes opens up this whole world of like this, like ugly Christmas like shoes, maybe promotional shoes for like movie releases or but again, is the movie studio going to pay for that? Probably not, but they could like on the excitement of the movie release, the movie studios are putting all the money in for advertising, and then they could put a shoe out maybe on the side for a cheap licensing agreement. So Hey Dudes allows them stuff like that, which is appealing to me, I think. And then they could get into more hiking boots and so forth. I've had Croc shoes. I think they were from Skechers. It said it was the same foam as Crocs. I hated it. So I don't know. Like the Crocs with socks in a shoe, I think it's kind of a weird feeling. Crocs is like a sandal or just a Croc shoe. It's fine because it breathes. But when you enclose that foam on your foot, I didn't like it. But I know people that have them. So yeah, so interesting speculation. So we'll go with that. Where we go here? No. Let me get it. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna play a clip, talk about AI for a bit. I bet you wanted to hear what a boomer has to say about artificial intelligence. I know that's what you're all here for. Hold on a second. Oh, well, before that, actually, no. Well, let's do retirement account stuff. Yeah, and then we'll do AI. Okay. So I was going to talk about because I have all my filing. I have my brokerage statements from my retirement accounts. So kind of just a 2023 year in review. So I'll pull a first one up. If you're in Discord with me, you've seen this. Like I was joking around with it. so here's the first one. So this is kind of funny to me. So what happened was, so that wow, crazy. Look at that, Dan. It's pretty. I think it's funny. So my kids trust. They've had a college savings account. I've been putting money every month since they were basically born for college. Originally, it was just a savings account. I didn't do a 529, so it was put in savings. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to do a 529 because I want the tax incentives. And I wasn't so concerned about the return prospects, but I wanted the deductions. So I opened a USAA 529. What I didn't realize is the 529 that USAA offered, which I don't know if they do them anymore, was through Nevada. So I opened it and then I go to do my taxes, and New York State is like, you're not getting a deduction. It has to be a New York State 529. It's like, what the fuck? So I had to close their 529s through Nevada and then transfer it to New York State's accounts. So I do that in like 2018. So I go into 2018. Let me pull this up. So I think it was 2018 if I recall. So I dump all their money now. Okay, that's better. So it was like 2018 or 19. I can't remember when I got this switched over. And I wanted them to be aggressive growth because, I'm not always conservative, but like there's only so much money I could put away for their college. So I'm like, I think if we can double that maybe in the next 10 years before they go to college, I think the risk is worth it because that would then cover a substantial amount of their college rather than just maybe a year. Maybe I could cover like over half of it. So I thought, it's worth a shot. So I put it all into basically the mutual fund equivalent of VUG, which is Vanguard's growth index. So it's a mutual fund version. So I put it in like 2018, 19. So you could see I put it here. So luck, you want to call it luck or nothing? Because there wasn't crazy thought about this. So I dumped all of their like almost 7 or 8 years of college savings for them. Like pretty damn good timing. So that's why this is 40% in 3 year, really good returns on it. So that's their college funds, which is my money. So it's not their money, it's mine. When you do a 529, it's your money as the adult. And then you can use it for educational expenses. What's nice about a 529 plan is then if your children do not, so you're getting a tax deduction. Like for me, it's a New York State deduction. You don't get a federal. Um, when I get to, if say they don't use it, I can take the money out, or I can spend it on other educational uses, or I think I can transfer it to another retirement account. But it's your money. Your kids have no right to it. And I know that, if you told your kids they have $50,000-$60,000 in a college savings fund, there's the risk your kids are going to be like, Dad, F you, just give me the money. Cause I don't want to go to college. I want to go take a freaking, 6 months in Europe and backpack around. They have no rights to this money. It's mine. So just to let you know, if you open a savings account for your kids for college, so I'm not making any judgments about you or your kids, I'm just telling you the facts. If you open a savings account and you put your name and your kid's name on it, and you put a bunch of money in it for their college, first of all, you're getting no deductions, so no tax incentive for you. Secondly, they can take that money out at any time and you can't say nothing about it because their name's on the account. They have every right to that money just like you do. So be aware of that risk. If you're going to put like $100,000 away for your kid, your 18-year-old kid has an 18-year-old kid's brain, and you're going to tell them they have 100 grand in a bank account, and they're probably just going to forget everything else you say about it's for college. So for me, I made my choice. So if you have kids, you gotta make your own choice. I think a 529 is a great plan, and you don't even have to do stocks. I mean, there's actually an impressive amount of options in the New York State 529. I'm very impressed with it. It's better than my job and my wife's friggin' retirement accounts. Way better selection options. So I'm not doing VUG anymore though, because we're 8 years out from them going to college. So they have a new option. Actually, they've had new options come out. So I'm basically doing like VT now. It's 60% the complete US market, and it's 40% international. So it's literally like VT basically. I don't think there was an S&P combined with international. So now that we're getting closer, I want to be more broadly diverse. So, but I'm not reallocating what's already been there. So the growth, large cap tech, bro, so portion of it, I'm not taking that and putting it in VT. It's going to stay. Just future allocations are going to be more diversified holdings. And then when they get to college, I'm just going to go like straight treasuries. I'm not doing bonds. The graduation target date funds I looked at, I was not impressed by. So I'm not interested. Maybe that appeals to you, but I think it's worth the risk to try and get some better return for your kid's college fund for me. So I didn't like the target graduation funds. It was too much bond exposure for nothing. Say, I agree with Jim's Alice. I feel like too niche. Get all small. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Wait. Okay. Oh, Jimmy, I say I didn't buy Crocs because it's a niche retail play. Look at Dexter shoes, one of the Buffett stuff. Okay, I have to say, I missed on Decker. And I got onto Hoka's a few years ago, and I could see, like, I literally could see, like, Hoka's is taking market share from Nike. You can see the growth in Decker's shoe business compared to the degradation of the Nike sales in the US. I mean, you can see what's happening. Like, Decker is taking market share from Nike in America. I don't know about international. International Nike still has pretty good numbers, but yeah, I mean, it was there. I didn't think a lot about it, but that, if anyone got in that trade, man, that was a great trade. Like that was like the shoe trade of the last few years. Unless you bought Crocs March 2020, and then you blew everyone away. Dance intro song. I don't know what it is. Someone made it. I actually literally don't know what song it is. So I kind of like the military one. I probably could keep using that rather than the other ones I use. Maybe I will. So there's that one. Okay. So again, my kids' college was aggressive growth US. Now it's going to be like a VT equivalent now that they're halfway towards high school or college, let's call it. So this one, Okay, this one, this is my deferred comp. Now this is funny. So I have government deferred comp, which is a 503b. Maybe you've never heard of what a 503b is. I don't know, but and then my wife has a 557b because she works for a hospital. So um or no, this is the wrong one. Shoot. This is my wife's. Okay, let me 1 second. I pulled up the wrong one. All right. This is the best way I could clip it. I didn't for keep my information. I know I'm terrible. So this is my government 557B. So mine. So I don't get a match. I get no benefit. It's just my money. And I don't put a lot into this because I have my pension. So and my wife's got better options. I've looked at like I have really the options they provide in my government retirement account suck. So I don't fund a lot into it. And actually, I basically stopped putting money in it for a while this year. So you might be thinking, Dan, like these returns aren't great because like for half the beginning of the year, we were dumping all our money into her account. So we upped her contributions and then I dropped mine off and then I rebalanced when I got some raises later. But you can see by not buying at the beginning of last year, if you can look, the S&P did 20%. So 1 year return, I got like 10 because I wasn't buying. I didn't dollar cost average the whole year. It was more at the end of the year. And that had an adverse effect on this account. Her account and my account, it's basically the same, although the options are different, but the strategy is the same. It's like S&P 500 is half of it, and then 30% international, and then like 20-ish% is like mid cap, small cap ish. So, but they're different options. So same strategy, different options. So this is what happened. I bought, let's just say that the wrong half of the year almost. I should have been buying in the beginning half of the year. So there's that. So the only thing I changed this year. So 3 funds, hers and my retirement accounts. I slightly tweaked the allocation based on the target date funds Schwab has because they made adjustments. So I tweaked. I was 50% S&P 500. Now I'm like 48, and then I took that 2% and I bumped up my mid cap, small cap allocation. So partially because of what the target date fund was doing, and then I think that's kind of the right move. I wanted to tweak more towards mid cap based on valuations right now. I'm not adjusting past. I'll make that clear. This is just future contributions. I'm not like rebalancing my entire portfolio to do this, to make that 2% move. If you want to, so be it. But I think that's kind of an aggressive actual adjustment. So that's up for everyone to decide. All right. So this is funny. And then this is and then this did really well. So what's holding me back? Obviously, with S&P 500, if you'd done 100% in 2023, you would have done better. But it's 50% of mine plus international, not a, what I'm trying to remember now. It's not an ex-US, which would imply that you just buy everything outside of the US. I have a targeted international. It's for, what do you call it? It's Europe, Asia, or Australasia. So you're talking Europe, Japan, or Australia, and I think South Korea. So basically, think about that target. So it's keeping emerging markets and Canada out of my portfolio, which that's how I want to go with it, and China. So China, Canada, and emerging markets, I don't find them to be that interesting of investments. So I don't really want to get in an argument about that. It's just not my thing. I definitely don't want to invest in China. I'll trade China, but I don't believe in it long term. You don't own anything. I'm an American soldier. I'm not going to support the communist government. If you give money to Chinese companies, but I'll trade it. This is what it is. So this is her portfolio. So this is like we've been dumping money into this. So it did really well, really well. She's got better choices than I do. Like most of her choices are like Vanguard funds. Mine are like these companies I've never heard of, which kind of bugs me that I don't know why the state doesn't use like Vanguard products more. So here we are. I think we have BlackRock, some BlackRock stuff. So there's that. So like I said, I only tweaked like a 2% adjustment to allocation. So I think I've mentioned this before, like you're not wholesale changing like the foundations of what you're doing every year in your retirement account. You're just making slight adjustments. Like I've seen people online, they like dump their entire 401k into growth, right? In 2023, because growth was exciting or something. And then in 2022, they dumped it into something else because growth sucked. And it's like you're all over the place. Like, what the hell are you doing? Pick a strategy and just stick with it through thick and thin, because you're going to mistime these allocation changes in your retirement account. You know, if you were all growth and then at the end of 2022 you just had enough of seeing red on your statement, and then you bail on growth for a value fund in your retirement options, let's say, because you want to be conservative all of a sudden. Okay, you lost that entire run up in 2023 on your growth investments, but now you're going to FOMO back into growth because you regret doing it. But now you're buying growth at the top, and then what if growth gets hosed now in the next 2 years? Like you're just like compounding your losses and your mistakes in your retirement account. Like when I made those 5 video retirement options, like just pick one of those damn options and just don't think of, just you make tweaks. But you're not wholesale changing your retirement accounts in those strategies. Like I made a tweak, 2% switch, like between large cap and mid. That was my only adjustment this year. International stayed 30%, because I'm trying to over exaggerate international to cover my personal brokerage is like not international at all. So wait for our first key. No questions. Okay. So there's that. I mean, I think you could do really well with a 90-10, like Buffett says, like the S&P 500, and then 10% in some sort of money market bond fund. I don't even have a bond option in my retirement accounts. There's no like US bond option. So even to consider something with that, like I don't even have a bond option. I probably wouldn't even do it anyways. I think bonds are wholesale useless for my purposes. All right. So let me play. Hold on. We will, nope, remove that. I'm going to share a video. Give me a second. Okay. I found this guy really interesting. Maybe it's because he's like me. This guy kind of reminds, like the way he talked. This was one of the Compounds videos recently. I feel like this guy's like a kindred spirit to like how I look at investing. I enjoyed this episode. Michael Kembalest. So he had a portion of this. It's like 10 minutes. I'd like to play a lot of. I'm gonna play it for most of it because I think his take on AI is. I enjoyed it, so I'll play it for you.
On AI, and they go into like a U.S. versus Soviet style arms race. Microsoft Azure versus AWS versus
right. Well,
Google Gemini, and margins start to fall.
We do know that the cloud companies are trying to get into the businesses of some of the other ones, and OpenAI has been talking about competing with NVIDIA and setting up chip fabs.
They can't all win and have 23% profit margins. Probably.
Right. There's a lot of money being spent. The other thing I would say is, and we're still in the ascent of this AI arms race. We had a conference last week, and the CEO of NVIDIA was there, and it's an amazing company. Yeah, and they have amazing people.
I'm fast forward this part.
So yeah.
That you've got people, banks using it for fraud detection. You've got people using it for to generate kind of middle school level content for bad e-magazines, right? So yeah, there's a lot of individual use cases. A friend of mine runs a one of the big New York law firms. They're using it to start. They've trained it on a law database, and they can generate first draft interrogatory summary judgments and pleadings, and then the associates clean it up after the fact. But as I start adding up all these little pieces, it's not forming into some kind of economy-wide throw weight that lives up to a lot of the expectations. And so I'm waiting to see LiDAR, self-driving cars, level 5, nowhere. Relying on relying on this stuff to do your radiology MRI interpretation, no thanks. We asked GPT-4 70 questions from the Eye on the Market on politics, finance, energy, and economics. got half of them right, got half of them completely wrong with all sorts of bizarre hallucinations.
This is going to be something I'll bring up in a minute, but so like big problem is the inconsistency of the results. So like, and I hear all the online people go, oh, accountants are going to go away because you're just going to have AI trained to do your taxes. And he's kind of nailing the point. I laugh at that because I'm like, you can have some AI system do like a lot of the groundwork maybe, but in the end, you're not going to trust this stuff with a final result. Meaning you throw something in AI, it spits out a result, and in a professional setting, let's say, okay, so in a professional job like auditing, you're not going to throw in the supporting documents. It spits out an audit report and we just throw it to the clients and they accept it. No human intervention. So that's something that I've caught on to. Like and then legal, it's the same thing. You're not going to have, ChatGPT write up your legal documents that you're submitting to courts without humans looking at them. So it can save you maybe baseline work, but at some point, if you have to verify everything that comes out of this, because the hallucinations, you don't know when it creates a product, what part of it's going to be just made up, right? We don't know. Like, it could just make stuff out of thin air. So that use case isn't there yet. I don't see it. Can it save you grunt work? Well, it's like, I already have software that saves me like baseline work that accountants used to have to do 10, 20 years ago. Like it's already in existence. So again, like I'm trying to like, what's the usage case, and like, does it create some sort of revenue in America? He's kind of along that. He's thinking about it, right? Because this is an investor. Like, where's the investment?
And since you don't know what questions it's going to get wrong, you have to double check the answer on everything. So
you get to double the work.
Yeah,
that's
what it was.
Future is here.
For
Yeah, but
us,
AI.
for us. So there are going to be some fantastic applications of this stuff, but I'm waiting to see how it comes to form. And I'm just reminded, I know it's not the same, but 3 years ago, if I were here, you guys would have been asking me questions about the metaverse, and I would have been holding my nose.
I would have also, Michael will tell you, I also would have been holding my nose.
Okay. So, we'll see. By the way, then there's the other competitive issue that there are, Meta basically released a free language model.
Yeah.
Hang on, my digital real estate is up 400%.
I'm only willing to believe that.
That's important part. Like, if the major large cap and this is why I have SCHG, because I do believe in large cap tech and I think some of the game has changed to some degree in that sense. Maybe that's another video, but if those companies just want users and they're not so concerned about monetizing every aspect of AI, they just want people to use their software, which gets them into their space, and then they have like ad revenue and other sources of income. They just want you in their sphere, let's call it. Like, so how do other smaller players make money in that? How are you going to charge money if someone like Meta or Google is just going to offer certain features for free? Like, how do you compete with that? So again, it's like, how are we monetizing AI, right? That's the picture. Not just that it exists, but how are companies going to make money doing it?
If you were if somebody gave it to you for nothing.
So I want to go into that. You talk about this idea that ownership of an LLM itself is not necessarily that big a deal economically because of the way that domain specific tasks have been handled just as well by a very general LLM as they have by a domain specific LLM. Like the example that you gave, maybe you can explain to the viewers.
Sure.
But Bloomberg spent a lot of money building a finance specific LLM, and then you said what?
What was it, about 1 million hours, George? It was 1 million hours of GPU time to create this thing called Bloomberg GPT.
How expensive is that? 1 million hours of training GPU chips.
1% of GDP.
I mean, it's going to be
$7 trillion.
hundreds of thousands of dollars at least in power generation.
Okay, but so they built it.
They built it.
Okay.
Then what's fascinating is, despite Microsoft's relationship with OpenAI, Microsoft took Meta's free large language model called Llama off the shelf, downloaded it, and spent what was reportedly $100 and trained it on some other raw data on finance, biomedicine, and law, and got the same exact performance results as Bloomberg GPT. So if that's the case, where's the moat, right? And there was this leaked memo from Google last summer.
That's some other part. So as of right now, you can't copyright artificial intelligence. So this is another problem that's going to come out from AI. You can't, like, a moat is something that's defensible, right? And I've covered what a moat. There's like 5 different types of moats in my moat video. How do you defend yourself? Other companies could just come in and steal your data, and like they don't even have to ask permission. Let's say they could just do it, and then you might, maybe you notice they did it, and you have to go to court and try and fight them and sue them, like some companies. But how? Okay, well, you can't, even if you come out with an artificial intelligence product, like can you even copyright it? Can you protect yourself? That's the other part of this, right? Do you have, that would imply like there's no moats or defensible type margins in your businesses, which is going to be another problem investing in AI itself.
Or saying, you know, we don't have a moat and neither does OpenAI. This is what they're referring to. Now, the OpenAI is posting a lot of sales gains, although Altman has kind of admitted in the press the expenses associated with earning those revenues, he said, are eye-wateringly high.
I don't trust him anyway. Too adorable. He's never had any adversity in his life. Cases.
Right. I wrote about that in the note that I released this morning, which is that these open.
That's what I'm referencing. Yeah. So is that something for investors to be concerned with? So. That a lot of valuation is being built up on the premise that these companies have developed something really important, when it turns out it might be very easy to knock off. And as you get the same results, you don't care if it's a fake Louis Vuitton bag necessarily if everyone thinks it's real.
There is a lot of real stuff going on. Some of the biomedical stuff that's taking place with generative AI and unsupervised models is completely transformational. But I think we have to be really vigilant as investors here every quarter to just really dig through the cash flow, income statements, R&D spending, et cetera, of companies that are deriving.
And that's going to be the problem for you're going to hear a lot of excitement, let's say, and about some new company that's doing something else special with AI, and then it's like it comes back to the same same point, like. Can is this a defensible technology that they have? Can they improve margins on the software? Or if they try and charge more money, can someone else just undercut them? And, say some other company comes in and can provide 93% of the same result, but they're like 10% cheaper. Would other companies, go with that product? And this is the hard part for investing. Like, you could have this excitement of an AI product and all of a sudden it could just like fall off a cliff, right? If it doesn't pan out, because usually it's the exuberance of going into these things.
A lot of their revenues from large language models, because over the next 2 to 3 years, we'll see, what the real adoption rate, profitability, and throw weight of this.
NVIDIA gained $750 billion in market cap since January 1st.
Yeah.
Largely on the back of the earnings reports from Microsoft, Meta, and Apple.
Wait, of this year?
Yes. Indicating their plans to CapEx the hell out of this AI opportunity.
Yeah.
Most of those CapEx dollars, I guess, are going right to NVIDIA.
Yeah. One of the other things that's got to happen.
The reason NVIDIA is doing so amazingly, you could almost see, is like all these companies are just buying as many GPUs from NVIDIA because there is no alternative. There really isn't. AMD has an alternative, but it's not the same. It's not, from my understanding, like the software and the whole package NVIDIA offers, there's nothing else competitive. So every company in the world is like trying to buy these GPUs from NVIDIA. It's like they can like charge whatever they want almost, which is further point of why Paul is like such a clown for shorting NVIDIA. This is like the most unicorn company in the world right now. NVIDIA can just sell whatever GPUs they can make, and they can just charge whatever they feel like almost. Like, does this last forever? No, but for now, this is where NVIDIA is. Like, that's why I said at the beginning of the year, I said at the beginning of this year, NVIDIA could be $1,000 this year. Very realistically, you could see it. Like, this is if they stay with if the story continues the way it started this year, NVIDIA could be $1,000 stock. Totally. If something disrupts that narrative, it could get cut in half. But right now, everyone in the world, all these companies need that GPU, and they're getting them and they're buying them as much as they can. Lots of big companies.
Haven't reported yet, though.
I know. One of the other things that has to happen here is if you start to project forward the energy demands associated with this kind of stuff, it becomes untenable. And PJM, which is the ISO, the independent system operator for the mid-Atlantic part of the country, recently just released their energy demand forecasts just from data centers and AI, and it's going like this.
Yeah.
And at a time when the country is decommissioning coal, natural gas, and nuclear, and building more wind and solar, which are intermittent, and now you're adding a lot of demand from data centers. I mean, you're asking for trouble.
We need that energy to mine ETH also. It's very critical to the infrastructure of the country.
Just one last point on one of the things that's going to happen is right now all these prompt windows and things are quadratic. So when you ask questions, it's quadratically complicated to solve them. So what's going on at Stanford and MIT and a lot of the labs is there a way to make some of these models work on a linear instead of a quadratic basis? And it's called subquadratic scaling. For people that are really into this space, that's something you're going to be reading about.
You can do it on a laptop. You don't need to have.
Okay, so they're trying to increase efficiencies. All right, we get that point. Okay, so back. So where does that leave us? It's like this is tough. I don't think this is like to say this is .com, like, and I only remember .com from high school. Like it did come out of nowhere. But then again, there's no specific reason. Like the Great Recession, it's pretty studied what happened. There's no specific reason what happened to .com. It just poof, it's just gone, right? So who knows? I hate is it a bubble or isn't it a bubble? It's tough to say. There are companies that are going to pop, like, Supermicro, look what happened. I mean, there you go. Company that doesn't deserve that valuation. Not in a million years does it deserve to be valued where it is. But I mean, you can look at bigger themes than individual companies in AI. That's why I picked cybersecurity. A lot of the what I see is like that video just talked about the negatives of investing in AI. I don't think those are such a risk with cybersecurity. The companies that are going to be there to defend against like artificial intelligence and protect you from like nefarious people using AI in a bad way. I think they do have defensible moats. They have a product that cannot be replicated easily. There's no open source version of this stuff. The cybersecurity angle was appealing already, and it's done well so far for me. There's only so many. There's probably only 20, 30 companies in the world that really do that type of work. So there's that angle. You could take some other angles I've seen people talk about with artificial intelligence is like the infrastructure play, which is Jesse talks about Arista. That's his thing. I'm not going to get into it. So you go for like the companies that provide the actual hardware, not the software solutions to this new future, which would be like the data centers. NVIDIA is obviously the GPUs. Then there's the data center tech. There's data center REITs, which they're not my favorite investment. I haven't deep dived them, but it's not really mine. You could also, there's infrastructure companies that are developing actual data centers and green climate, energy solutions, because this is going to require more energy. Those are other options. Like these are real companies. They're not like some of these fake AI companies that have no revenue. They're unprofitable. Maybe they make it or maybe they go bust. Like, but there's real companies out there that are in these spaces that you could benefit from. Like for right now, I'm in a cybersecurity ETF and then a large cap growth fund because I think large cap tech is going to have a pretty good runway on this stuff. Just the sheer capital that's required and energy to create this artificial intelligence and the data centers and stuff. I think the growth narrative is there. And I don't want to make a bet on one individual large cap tech. I'll just buy all of them. So there's different ways to look at it. Am I like overly excited about this opportunity? Not really. I mean, I feel like I've made my plays in it. But yeah, you have to understand like this could go bad. This could go really bad. Like some of the AI hype the last like year, I think it was like last June was when NVIDIA did the really blowout earnings and that started this. I think it was last June. So we're in kind of this cycle that's not been a year yet. So it's not been that long. This kind of artificial intelligence exuberance. But like talking about jobs, like how's this going to, like, this is just my opinion at this point, but there's going to be a lot of white collar jobs, I think, that get cut. I think white collar jobs are going to get, but this has been trending in the US for a while now. These kind of middle white collar jobs that, these people that didn't really have like a specific professional education, they just had like an MBA or a business degree, and they're like the middle managers in these companies. That's where they're going to look to find savings, I think. So a lot of those jobs, like I'd be worried if I was you. You need to have a specific profession to me, which would be like be a lawyer or be an accountant, be a medical professional, right? Those are the things that could be defensible against artificial intelligence. But if you're just some guy that's like, I'm the manager of the self-help or software, side of my business. Like I troubleshoot software solutions for customers and stuff like that. Like you should be worried like that job. There's not a specific professional. That's not a professional job in the aspects of like any sort of certification required. Yeah, you should be concerned. I'm not going to talk about like software people. Like they always love to say accountants are on the line, bro. Like accounting jobs, like we can't find enough people to come into accounting. in America with the boomers retiring and then less people going into accounting. Like this profession is a great option for people. There will always be, there's a continuing need and growth in the accounting field. And this is going to actually create more jobs. Okay. Some jobs go away in accounting. Yes. But then other jobs get created. There's like ESG auditors. There's going to be, I've seen information auditors, which is a new kind of like, I'm not exactly sure what they do, but there's like internal auditors for like cybersecurity and stuff like that. There's new, interesting, exciting opportunities in those fields. So jobs go away in some areas and they get created in other areas for professions. So it's not all a loss, but other things like Adobe, these are things that AI definitely will touch right away, is like the art, right? People in graphics design, people, from what I've seen, these are the things that AI is definitely like the first things are going to go away. People that do voice work, like just monotonous, not like your main actors, but like in a video game or a movie, like the behind the scenes stuff, right? Not the main text, but like the background stuff, like that no one really cared about. They're going to use AI for that. You see it coming. Graphic design, they're going to use AIs to create like just graphic print work, most likely. You already can see people have lost their jobs over that stuff. What else? Like, those are things that you definitely have to be worried about. The people doing freelance work in those spaces, like, oh, I'd be worried. But like the unions, but some of those professions have unions that'll fight back. Like you saw what the Screen Actors Guild and the writers did. So they've been fighting back against it. So it's not like the mainline work, but other points. Where is it? So like, we're in this world right now. It's this weird place. Like this lawyer, maybe you people like saw this. This lawyer got busted. He used artificial intelligence to create, what was it? He generated his legal brief, which is what, they submit to the courts. And when it was reviewed, there was literally citations by the artificial intelligence that were cases that never existed. And he got in big trouble for this to do that. So to say, oh yeah, AI is just going to replace lawyers because lawyers can just, who needs a lawyer? You could just create a legal brief with artificial intelligence. Like, okay, again, you're not wholesale replacing professions without a human looking at it at some point. Maybe they can do some of the work, but you still have people there. I don't see how you get rid of that because no one quite understands what these hallucinations are. There's no easy answer. There's always going to be people in these types of careers. Like, it can do some work, but it's a tool. I think it's kind of, you're getting ahead of yourself if you think this is wholesale replacing professions in America. But of course, there'll be plenty of YouTubers that are going to tell you I'm an idiot because they're on the cutting edge of technology. Okay, but they probably owned Arc and had their income destroyed because we saw Arc destroyed more wealth than almost anything. So even here's Google talking about hallucinations. So it all has to be verified. If it's a professional document or something, people have got to check it. So it just makes shit up. So, other than that, yeah, New York, there's like, and then don't forget, regulations can come out that will curtail this. Because if you think politicians are going to sit on the sidelines and not protect people, as if you want to piss off Americans, take their jobs. So they're going to push their politicians to make laws to protect them. And so the unions are going to push this also. My union's pushing some of this. We want protections against certain types of AI taking jobs or taking over duties from union personnel. So there's going to be pushback on that front. And for you'll see, like, this is the same as like those Tesla people that wanted to tell you that FSD was inevitable. And why would governments, that one idiot I covered, why would governments get involved and stop progress? It's like, okay, you imply progress, which is kind of a bold statement. But secondly, yeah, they can freaking create laws that will restrict some of this. They totally are within their rights to. And if given enough political push by like the public, yeah, like here. And what is so wrong about like this law? Like, they had to identify like all this. I think this law, if I remember, it was just like the law firm had to identify they were using artificial intelligence. And that's some of the push I've seen from this, labeling it, right? Labeling it as an artificially created product is going to be something that comes out. So how is that going to work out? Are we going to have to label when you give something a product, say this was created wholly or partially by artificial intelligence. And that goes into here. And like I mentioned, when he covered this, you can't copyright this. So to say it's defensible, like it's kind of questionable how much of this you can protect in the courts. If you have AI create a product, like AIs cannot as it stands today, you cannot copyright AI created materials like artwork. If AI creates artwork, you can't copyright it or protect yourself. So, can you defend yourself if someone starts stealing your product? It's like, could you technically fight them in court? It's going to be stuff that comes out. It's like the next 10 years of things to consider. Like to pick individual companies in this space that aren't like the large cap tech players, oh man, it's going to be tough. You might do well or you might go bust. That's where you're playing with this stuff. So I guess we'll see. I've made my bets for now. There's other things I'm looking at, but not so much. So boy, it's still going. This channel is literally AI. Yeah, apparently I'm gonna get, they have AI created video now. Which I saw a few of them. It was really impressive. They can create these really cool AI videos, and like, it'll screw up occasionally. They're never perfect. I mean, yeah, you could just be getting finance videos from created, AIs soon, and then I won't even bother with this. It's all right. I'll be on a beach somewhere before that. I don't care. So we'll see. Where was it? Hold on a second. I had it pulled up. I don't know where it went. It was funny because like it screwed up the hands. I can't find it. They screwed up the hands on this video. So the video looks fine until you look at the hands of everyone, and everyone's hands are like somebody had lobster claws. It's kind of crazy. One person had like 7 fingers. So it has a problem with hands. I don't understand. But yeah. So, I've got my plays in AI. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not, I'm in NVIDIA, right? I'm in Meta. I'm in all those things through SCHG. I have the cybersecurity play. I would probably look at something in the infrastructure as far as energy, because like that guy, that the video said, like that guy's interested the energy consumption and the infrastructure development is kind of where I want to look at now. So my main push now is looking at like infrastructure companies, because I think that's where you could see some really good gains. Because we have to build these data centers to make AI happen. Energy consumption of these, it's a hugely energy intensive business with this artificial intelligence. So those companies are out there. I don't want to get into the specific ones yet, but I have the one I'm partially in already. I've mentioned before, Jacob Solutions. It's not so much artificial intelligence though. It's more like the green future. This is kind of another topic with infrastructure, green energy, decarbonization, global warming, right? Infrastructure spending, that type of spending, kind of intriguing. So I've been in Jacob Solutions for a while. I think if I remember, I got in at like 120. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back which video it was. It was either last fall or I think it was last fall. I think it was like back here. Yeah. So this company's interested. They're in this space. They do like design and engineering consulting. So there's a few other players I'm looking at right now. I'm kind of done with the housing. Everything in housing has ran up so much. I'm kind of made my plays for now. Simpsons Manufacturing. My cabinet company, I'm feeling pretty good about this so far. We're on a good track. I got in at like 14-ish dollars. So off to a good start. If they can pay that debt off, that's the biggest question, because if the continuing improvement in the margins, because they consolidated manufacturing, and if that keeps going, they get the debt paid down to a better leverage ratio, which isn't that dissimilar from the Crocs idea, because they had to take out a loan. I mentioned this in another video. They had to take a loan out and pay the parent company when they divested from the parent company. It was kind of interesting setup. But and the parent company is one of these like conglomerates, just buys individual brands and just collects them. So, man, if they get that debt paid down, this is a very intriguing play for me. And then the housing comes back. I could see this thing getting into the high 20s maybe. You want to copy me and fail? Go ahead. I'm just kidding. So, that's kind of my house play for now. It just sucked. Like a lot of the housing companies ran up like 40% in the last 6 months, and it's like by the time you look at it, it's like there's nothing much there. Like to buy a housing company with a P of like 25, 30, it's like whatever. But I'm in this. I've got my HVAC companies, Tran and Carrier, so I'm already in those spaces. I'm already kind of around housing. I don't feel the need to buy like the housing companies that I don't know if I really want to buy the housing builders, because that's not really so much my narrative. New houses. There's also remodeling. If you buy a house construction company, like you're not getting the aspects of like remodeling houses as a business, and then the wholesaling of their products, something like them. They wholesale cabinetry, and they also do remodeling combined with new homes. So companies will soon create AI generated grifters to shill stocks. I mean, probably. I think YouTube will have something to say about that if that comes out. But I mean, it's not beyond me to say YouTube and Google could just create content through artificial intelligence and just post it on YouTube. Who's to say they don't do that? They know exactly what people watch. They could take the algorithms. They know what eyeballs get, and they just start pumping out AI created videos for their own service. And then do they even care if people steal that content? They don't care. They're in the business of eyeballs. They don't care about protecting it. So this, I mean, I couldn't imagine doing this as my only income. YouTube, like I would be concerned if I was someone that was living on this type of business. Like I could see this going away in the next 5 years. Who knows? Maybe there are no such things as people on YouTube anymore, except for like Mr. Beast and CoffeeZilla, those types of people. Crocs AI company. Oh, gibbets. We know YouTube and Google don't do that because management would need some competency to pull that off. Damn. Damn, son. Oh. Is there any that's about all I had prepared. I mean, I would say like to me, like AI, I don't know, large cap tech fund combined with, you could play like the semi manufacturers or cybersecurity, and then maybe you could do look for some infrastructure plays in this space. I don't find like individual AI companies. I've never seen one very appealing. Like the ones that do like the actual software programming, the actual creation of artificial intelligence products, software wise. A lot of the best plays has been hardware so far, right? NVIDIA and then Arista. So the hardware portions, I don't know if I find it hard to believe the other side, the software side of AI is going to be really much of an investment for, they're going to be companies with amazing products, but like, again, it's like, can they defend that product against someone just open sourcing it? Or, someone coming in with a free version that's like 70% of what you're charging people for. I think you try and look at the actual hardware side, infrastructure side of this. CoffeeZillas. So, well, that's my spiel. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll do if I mean, I'm home tomorrow, President's Day. Maybe I'll do a Robert Kiyosaki. I'll find like 3 or 4 good clips so I can make fun of him. I mean, give him a fair shake, right? But we'll do like a commentary on Robert Kiyosaki, the person, because my video only kind of talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the last one I did. So I don't know. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully you have a nice maybe President's Day if you get it off like I do. Sorry if you don't, but it's okay. All right. Have a good day.